everyone, Bernard here on behalf of MovieGameNostalgia.com with a little look at a movie today that's due out to buy on the 20th of July 2020, or is out to buy now, depending when you're watching this, of course. Yeah, it's a little film called Arkansas. Please, if you're new to these little movie vlogs, information vlogs, TV drama reviews, etc, etc, please push that all subscribe button and push the notification so you know when these little vlogs are coming out, and please tell your friends, the more the merry, and swap it around, please. Steadily growing subscriber base, which is fantastic. Thanks everybody for subscribing if you've already done so. Right, yes, Arkansas, a thriller. Couple of good posters, we'll talk about them later, that did okay in my little look at the posters that accompany these movies. An hour and 52 minutes, a 15 rating, and as I said, it's out to buy from the 20th of July 2020, $7.99 on DVD, so quite cheap. There's a couple of DVD extras I'll tell you about later as well. Directed by Clarke Duke, and it's his directorial debut, and he stars in it as well. And he is originally from Arkansas, so obviously he must know a little bit about what goes on there. The plot, we have a guy called Kyle, who's played by Liam Hemsworth. Not my favourite in this, to be honest with you, more on that in a bit. And Swin, who's obviously played by Clarke Duke. Our small-time drug dealers working for a drug kingpin called Frog, who's played by the wonderful, he does a bad job in this, does a pretty good job, Vince Vaughn. Who they've never met, they don't know who they're working for, which is fair enough. I mean, you obviously have to keep the head of the organisation secret, but it might have been an idea at one stage to have met him as the plot thickens in this one. Sadly, a deal goes wrong, and yes, hits the fan well and truly. So it's how our guys get out of this. It also stars, sort of briefly, just at the start of the film, John Malkovich, probably about 10-minute segment where he's actually in it. Is it any good? Well, getting sort of mixed. Rotten Tomatoes, he's only got a 49% positivity rating. Overall, a 5.57 out of 10 rating, which is just below my sort of watchable score. Based on 59 reviews. So if you know Rotten Tomatoes, he's got 29 fresh and 30 rotten, so almost split down the middle as I'm recording this. There's no audience score yet, so there's no Joe Public score on Rotten Tomatoes, but we do obviously get a Joe Public score in a minute from IMDb, don't we? But the consensus on Rotten Tomatoes, an appealing low-key charm, but this character-driven neo-noir is too diffuse and derivative to leave much of an impression. So not very kind, is it? I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of films, you enjoy them and forget about them the next day. There's not many will last long in the memory, no matter how good they are, to be honest with you. The Metascore, the critics site, 55 out of 100, so just over halfway. Again, similar theme to Rotten Tomatoes, based on 19 critics, and they score anywhere between 2.5 and 7, including a 4 out of 10 from the Hollywood Reporter, a 6.7 out of 10 from the AV Club, and a 7 out of 10 from Variety, so Variety did like it. The user rating, Internet Movie Database, Joe Public, so that's you and me, the watchers at home or at the cinema, but I don't think this got a cinema release before the current crisis. 5.9 out of 10, so just missed out on that watchable rating, didn't it? That's based on 3,402 reviews. Of those, 71 people actually bothered to write something about the film, which is nice. So some of the positives. This is a positive. There's a couple of here that are a bit borderline, but they are positives. Sometimes slow, but it's tense more like No Country for Old Men than Pulp Fiction. Then again, not close enough to either of those. So obviously, comparisons immediately with other films of the same sort of genre, obviously. Pace is slow, but not in a bad way. Yeah, I'll come back to that in a minute. A fun film that could use a little polishing. Yeah, another critique I'll touch upon. Nothing original, but nothing wrong. Yeah, I mean, again, say they're not 100% positives, are they? But they are positives. The sort of dissenters, the people who don't like it, one-dimensional. Clarke should stand up proudly on his own voice and not just echo the Coens and the Tarantinos. Some funny moments, lacks an entertaining story. Replace of Pulp Fiction as replica of Pulp Fiction, sorry, and not very successful. Yeah, it's not a wreck. I mean, Pulp Fiction was a, it's hard when you start comparing to these standard sort of genre standard films that everything's compared against. Tons of potential, but ends up basic. So yeah, just having a quick look at that. The critique, sometimes slow. Yeah, it was. I think the second half of the film is much more entertaining than the first half of the film, but fortunately, there's a couple of characters on screen that make you want to keep watching. So yeah, it is sometimes slow, but it's worth bearing with it. As I said, the second act, I think it's split into acts, which again is something it didn't really need as such. I mean, that's just an echo of other things, isn't it? So probably the third and fourth acts, if you like, third and fourth acts are sort of far better than the first and second. But it is a slow build, but yeah, it is sometimes slow. I don't think that affects it too much. Could use a little polishing, yeah. I mean, again, for what it is, I mean, it wouldn't have been a massive budget and of a directorial debut. I thought that's a little bit unfair. I think it was not too bad at all for what it is. Nothing original, but nothing wrong. As I said before, what's original? I mean, you very rarely get original in certain genres. All you can hope for is entertainment, and that's how I review these things. Let's look at some of the bad things. Don't just echo the Coens and the Tarantinos, but again, that falls back into the same thing, isn't it? I mean, once you've got guys like that who produce stuff, I mean, even they find themselves it hard to reproduce stuff that actually affects people. So other people obviously are trying to do it their own way, and obviously there's going to be echoes of the other two because it's a genre, isn't it? There's always going to be echoes of certain things. Tons of potential, but ends up basic. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Again, I think that's a little bit unfair. I mean, there's potential in it. It's a store, but as I say, I think it does pretty well, to be honest with you. Movie game nostalgia. Yeah, it perhaps is too long, based on an hour and 52 minutes. But I mean, if you knocked 20 minutes off and speeded up the first couple of acts, I think it would have been a lot better. But again, there was enough in it to enjoy. Originality, as we spoke about before. Yeah. So what? It's a play on a theme, isn't it? The characters, you've got to like the characters in these sort of movies. You've got to either like them or dislike them in equal measure, and obviously that keeps you entertained. Again, as I said before, I think I hinted at with Liam Hemsworth, I wasn't excuse me, as Kyle, obviously the main character, he is the lead character. Not overly impressed with his style and how he did it. I think he was playing it a certain way. It didn't quite work for me personally, but there was enough in the Frog's character and Vince Vaughn and Swin, obviously, who was played by Mr. Clarke Duke himself. There's enough in those characters to keep me entertained, and a couple of other sub characters that I quite liked with it as well. So yeah, I mean that's what kept me going. Yeah, it's a good at times slow watch. Perhaps a lower league, obviously it's a lower league to the other similar movies in this genre, but I liked it. I thought it was okay. I thought it was good entertainment. As I said, it perhaps needs a bit of getting into, but I quite liked it. By the end of it, I was quite happy I watched it and quite enjoyed it. It doesn't try to be too clever. As I said, I've got rid of the printing of the acts on the screen. I think that would have been a lot better because it's obviously an echo of other things, and it doesn't need to do that particularly. It's trying to be a little bit clever, but it's been done before, so there's nothing clever about it, is there? What's the point of regurgitating stuff that's already out there? But yeah, I mean, so it doesn't try to be. Apart from that, I think it's a good. I think it doesn't try to be that clever, and that's a good thing. I mean, obviously, it brings stories together. It brings the whole thing together from start to finish. I mean, it does go off on tangents, as most of these things do, and have you thinking. But by the end of it, you know what's going on, and it's. Yeah, I think it's good. I'm not going to go mad with it because, as I say, I think it could have been better, and it's not in the genre. It's not a bad film. So, as far as an MGM rating is concerned, movie game nostalgia rating, I'm just going to give it the basic watchable rating of 6 out of 10. I might have pushed it up to 6.5, but I'll just stick with this. I'll sit on the fence and give it a 6.10, which is higher than most of the other reviewers, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, and the Metascore and the Internet Movie Database users. So I've been a bit nicer to it, perhaps, to some of them. But please let me know in your comments if you get to watch this, what you think. And please, as I said, do stick with it. As I said, the Liam Hemsworth, perhaps if another guy had been played the role of Kyle, I might have given it another half, 1 point or something like that. But I was a little bit disappointed with Liam Hemsworth's role. But I think he probably did what he was asked to do by the director and etc. etc. I think he probably acted it how he was supposed to. I just didn't particularly like the performance, to be honest with you. The posters. Let's have a quick look at the posters. Well, we've got the 2 posters, haven't we? And I'm going to rate both those posters better than the film, actually. I quite like those 2 posters. A lot of red going on, obviously, but if you look at the one that shows the stars and the characters they're playing, I think that's... I like that. I prefer that of the 2 posters that are up there. I don't think it's the main poster that's used. I think it's the other one with the big title Arkansas on it. But yeah, I'm going to give the one with all the actors on it 7 out of 10. And the other one, which I think is the main one used perhaps on Amazon and for the cover that you'll buy in the shops, as far as I can see based on looking at Amazon, it'll be 6.5 out of 10. No, not quite as good, but I still like it. So both the posters I think are slightly better than the overall film, but that's just for a little bit of fun, isn't it? And as I said, as promised, it's out on DVD, $7.99 from the 20th of July, and the DVD extras include the audio commentary, which is always nice. It's always nice if you've got the time. I don't have a lot of time these days to listen to these audio commentaries. It's by Clarke Duke, so that's pretty good. You got making of, which you'd expect. You got deleted scenes, and if you like Flaming Lips, not a band I'm familiar with or a group or whatever you call them these days. Is obviously there's a performance by them of He Stopped Loving Her Today, so that's on the extras as well. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Please check all my links. Obviously the link for the website is above. Please, if you can just find a couple of minutes to have a look around there, follow the links below in the listings, and that'll help my little footfall and my Google Analytics on moviegamenostalgia.com. And please, if you're not into Twitter and you're more into Facebook, if you type in and follow Bernard Deneen, and obviously I'll follow back. And most of the stuff I put out on Twitter, I put stuff relevant to movies, etc., and film and TV on Facebook as well. So if you can do that, fantastic. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. It's been nice to be with you for a few minutes. What we're going to do the rest of the day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your family. More importantly, let's all look after each other, and hopefully you'll join me again for another little review or information vlog very, very soon. Bernard saying goodbye for now. Thanks for watching.